Welcome to another weekly featured business, brought to you by Visibility Impact and your host, James Moffat, where he will gracefully take our featured guest on a personal and business journey and stories that will inspire, educate, and engage you.
Hello, and welcome to another, I was going to say Friday Featured Business, but we don't always do it on Friday anymore. So welcome to Featured Business, brought to you by Visibility Impact and your host, myself, James Moffat. Today we have our 155th guest, right, Carla.
Hello, how are you, James?
Yes, I'm fine, thank you. And yourself?
I am good, thanks for asking.
Great. So Carla, I'm not going to try and even pronounce your full name. So I'm absolutely terrible at names. So I asked the guest to normally pronounce their name. So Carla, if you wouldn't mind, but just to say your full name.
Yeah, I'm 𝗘𝗔𝗖𝗛𝗪, which is a Portuguese typical surname from my father's side. So Ramalho, it's my last name, even though I have 4 names in total.
You have middle names as well?
Yeah, middle names. Okay, 𝗘𝗔𝗖𝗛𝗪, which is a Spanish name, 𝗘𝗘𝗔𝗥, and Ramalho.
Okay. So are you, I mean, you're 100% Portuguese, or you got parents that Spanish or something?
Yeah. My grandmother was Spanish, and that's why the Soledad. I was supposed to be my first name, Soledad, but my dad preferred Carla, so Carla Soledad.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Carla, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to take, for the viewers that maybe this is the first time they've watched this, I take my guests on a journey from their childhood to where they are now, touching on any memorable experiences that they wish to share. And then we catch up to kind of the current day, what you're doing now, why you're doing it, who you do it for, and if there's any help or support that you need on the journey. And then basically close off with a call to action in the way that you can leave a closing statement or promote your business and how people can get in touch with you.
Okay.
So, all clear?
Yes.
Excellent. So, this will be made available on YouTube and the audio on Spotify. So, if people want to listen in the car and it's easier on Spotify, then I copy that over. So, let's make a start. So, Carla, you said that you're from Portugal. And so whereabouts are you living now?
Yeah, I live near Lisbon in a city called Barreiro, in the south of the river. So Margem Sul, it's how we call it. And I've always lived here with my parents and my elder brother. And that's where I live. I purchased a house 7 years ago, close to my parents, and I continue to live in Barreiro. I did not change my local of residence.
Okay. When you said south of the river, does that mean you're across that big bridge?
Exactly. I am very near to Lisbon. I can take the boat or by car. I can pass the bridges and be in Lisbon in 1 hour. But I am south of the river Tejo, basically 𝗘𝗘𝗔𝗥, yeah.
Okay, because I've typically, I mean, when we've been to Lisbon, we've been looking over at the other side. And the only time that we actually cross is when we're on our way to the Algarve.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you need to cross the river, yeah, to go south, yeah.
If we're going from that direction, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
exactly.
you said, I'm just digressing a bit, there is a regular boat service, like
yes,
that
there is.
takes people across?
Yeah, there is. I've used it for more than 15 years and I still use it to go to the college because I am still studying. So I go to Lisbon twice a week. Now I'm on holidays, but yes, I go regularly to Lisbon by boat, yeah.
All right, so it's like proper transportation system for people commuting across.
Exactly. It's like a ferry boat, and they have regular 10 minutes trips.
Ah, excellent.
Yeah, it's a very good experience for tourists as well. For not for locals, because we use it for work or for studying, so it's kind of boring over time. But for tourists, it's a very interesting experience.
But that runs all year.
All year long, yeah. Saturdays, Sundays, holidays, yeah.
All right, excellent. So, right, so let's just take you on the journey then, really, from your childhood. So, growing up as a kid, you mentioned siblings. So, you have any siblings?
Yes, I have an elder brother. He's married and he has a daughter, a 7-year-old daughter. And he lives in Almada, which is also south of the river, but it's not in the same city, so it's a different city. So if we need to visit him, or if he wants to visit us, he needs to take a journey, a 30-minute journey by car. Yeah.
All right. And growing up as a kid, I mean, kind of what things did you enjoy doing?
Yeah, I was a very quiet kid, and I enjoyed mostly being alone and reading books. I was not very sociable girl. I was communicative and outspoken, but my hobbies were more being by myself, studying my books from school, and being with my parents and my brother. It was I didn't have a kind of radical or kind of hobbies that the kids nowadays have.
Right. Yeah, I guess things have changed quite considerably, because if I look at my childhood compared to my kids, they're completely different. And
yes, nowadays kids do tennis and all kind of clubs, and yeah, and I'm 43 now, so in my time it was very rare that the kids were doing something. I mean, I learned some music. I had some music lessons that my mom was paying, but it was all, and it was very rare that the parents could afford some extra activities. Yeah.
So you said you're 33?
No, I'm 43.
But you look 33.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Right,
Maybe because I'm single and without kids, so I didn't grow old.
Yeah, it's the stress of having kids, although they're wonderful.
Yeah, probably, yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, let's just take you a little bit into your education and stuff. So, kind of, which direction as a child did you feel that you wanted to go, as in school and maybe a job later?
Yeah, when I look back to my youth, I feel like I didn't really have a direction. I was a very good student, but I was raised in a religion that did not promote the studies of the people. So it was a bit complicated to have that kind of direction when you have parents and adult people around you that have this religion. So I was going on Sundays to these meetings and studying the religion books, and so I did not quite have a direction that I knew, I want to be engineer or a doctor. No.
So typically, what religion was it then?
Yeah, we were Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, right. Okay. Right.
So I don't know if you are familiar with that, but it's kind of, they are more based in the fact that 𝗪𝗪𝗔𝗏 will come, so the end of the world. So there is no point on studying or on having a nice job or having a future career, because it's not that important. You need to save your soul and not material things, not so. And I was listening to this, so it was kind of a mass formation, basically, for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I thought, like, in Portugal, aren't most people Roman Catholic?
They are, yeah. The Catholic Church is the prominent religion. But then, I believe that you know that all over Europe, and not only Europe, there are these religions that are also Christian, but they are not really Catholic, but they are also Christians, and that's the case of Jehovah's Witnesses. They are kind of a Protestant religion, and then they follow the Bible, all these ideologies that you believe when you are there, and that you follow strictly because you think that's the way it should be. Yeah.
Yeah. So with religion, I mean, do you still practice it now, or
no? Since I was 19, that I don't follow any religion, and probably that's why I am so immune to propaganda and mass formation, because I got vaccinated for that, I think. So I'm very aware of the manipulation of all sorts, of friends that want to manipulate me, or boyfriends, or so I'm pretty aware of manipulation. So
yeah, I can fully understand, because I mean, we grew up in multiple different religious backgrounds. I mean, from my mum being on one side, my father, and then what we learned at school, and then from friends and other members of the family. So it was all kind of a mixture. And I just thought at the end of it, it just causes too much confusion, too many arguments, too many, I mean, it didn't bring well-being and quality of life. It brought, if anything, a negative effect, because everybody was fighting. It's kind of like, I picture it like a football team. Mm-hmm. Everybody was flying the colours of their team and singing the songs of their team, but they wouldn't come together and rejoice at being one. And I thought, then it's better not to have any, and then to follow in the way that you believe from inside. So, I went through kind of that as well as a kid.
Okay. Yeah. So people that have this experience, I believe that we are more aware of this possible surroundings, things that are not religious, specifically religious, but everything. You are more aware of the path that you want to take, and I believe we can be more neutral, I think, when you had this experience, because it's like you feel it. You feel when something is wrong, even if you don't know why, or if you don't know what are you feeling, but you feel something that connects you to your youth. And for me, it's like that. I sense, and actually, I think that there were positives, because I've learned a lot. I was reading a lot of books and speaking in public, for example, because I was these kids that would go to the meetings and have everything prepared to say the answer when the pastors or would ask the question. So, and this helped me a lot to develop as a social person, and a person that was able to connect with others and to share ideas. But of course, in a different way now. And since I was 19 more or less, I don't follow any religion. So I did not leave the religion to go to another. I just don't have any religion at all, not Catholic, nothing at all.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've learned with this. I don't like the fanatism and the manipulation, and I believe that can be very damaging for the kids. So I'm glad that my brother isn't doing that with my niece. And definitely, if I would have a child, I wouldn't do that. But my parents did not know better, okay? So they were doing their best. It's not like they were doing it to harm their kids. No way. They were protecting us, and they were trying to do what's best for them and for the kids. And but definitely it was not healthy emotionally or even psychologically.
Yeah. No, I fully understand. And I mean, to me, it was kind of like an indoctrination. I was lucky that my parents were like more open, and that they hadn't really bothered themselves, or they both come from quite strict religious backgrounds. And I mean, we had the freedom to make our own decision. And if we wanted to go and experiment and look and explore religions, then that's up to us. But there wasn't anyone that's forcing us to do it. And we quickly learned, well, I quickly learned that, I mean, kind of the common theme on them was an indoctrination and getting them to follow and say and do as you're told to do, rather than have that more free will and to make your own decisions. And that feeling that, like as you said, that feeling within you, whether it's right, wrong, good or bad, and it's something that you kind of your gut feeling, if it's something that you want to pursue or not. To me, I've just seen too much anguish because of religion that I've decided to let you step away from it. And not that I'm against any. It's just that just leave me alone in the way that I want to practice what I want to practice, and you can do what you wish.
Indeed. Yeah, my parents were not the kind of parents that would say, you cannot celebrate Christmas, or we cannot celebrate birth. They would not say it like that. And there was parents of my friends that they were doing that. Some people didn't even, some kids of my age could not even have a TV set. Okay, so this was, and we always had TV sets, we always had presents and things like that. But some parents were really fanatic, not the case of my parents. But just the fact that me and my brother were going to these meetings and we were listening that Christmas and birthdays were wrong from adults saying this was a very strong impact on you. If you are listening to adults saying that you will not live the eternal life, or you will die in Armageddon if you do this kind of parties. So me and my brother, we were considering these festivities, these celebrations, normal celebrations, as sinful. So we were the ones saying, no, Mom, we don't want to participate in a Christmas party at school. So because we thought that it was sin. Okay, so this is a bit damaging for the kids, I think, because the kids follow adults. We don't, when we are kids,
exactly,
we don't follow just our parents. We follow all the adults.
Yeah, I mean, it must have been tough then as a kid, because your friends like celebrating one thing and you're told not to celebrate it. And then I look at it like in religion, if they're saying that if you do that, it's blaspheme, or you'll go to hell, or whatever. And I'm thinking they kind of making it a negative. Surely when you go to do something, it should be a positive. It should be an encouragement of love and joy and fun and a community bringing people together, not the threats that if you don't do this, right? And I just found that religion was that. I mean, I went to many churches, and the priest or the sermon was there. And then there would always be one part within what they're saying. They would say that, like, if you do not do this, you'll have to repent your sins and whatever. And I think, oh, hang on a minute. I'm a kid. I'm just coming here.
Some people say that the religion was a way of that the rich found to control the poor, because the poor are afraid of going to hell, right? Because they expect something better after they die. So it's a way of control, basically, I think.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is. That's exactly what it is. It's control, indoctrination and control. But anyway, we digress. Let's let's switch that. So I was reading because I sent out a questionnaire and I was just asking if there's any memorable experiences that you had, and you shared one. So I'd like to learn a bit more about that. What happened?
Was it the one that I almost died?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a recent experience. It was in 2022.
Ah, so quite recent then.
It was quite recent, yes. So I also needed to do some therapy for that, and yeah, because I was sucked up by the ocean and I cannot swim, so I was pretty damaged and almost drowned.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
What, in Portugal?
In Portugal, yes, in Praia da Foz, which is a beach close to
I know
Zimbra.
it.
Yeah, Zimbra.
Yeah.
So I was very lucky because 6 months after, a parent with a father with a girl died in the same spot.
Wow.
So,
so what happened? I mean, you dragged out by a wave or something?
Yeah, exactly. It was a wave. I was just close to the water with my mom, and I was caught by a wave, and that sucked me into the ocean. And I just thought to myself, okay, that's it. I remained very calm. Strangely, I was very calm because I just thought there is nothing I can do about it. I have to accept my fate. And so the waves were, I don't know where I was. I was in the water, being violently. The waves were all over. It was really crazy. And I just remembered, and I think I was lucky because I remained very calm. So I did not panic, even though I knew that I was going to die. That was it. I remembered to think, this is it. So prepare yourself to drown, and it's not an easy death. I remember to think all of this. And then all of a sudden, I started feeling some back pain, very, very bad. Because I was, the sea brought me back to the rocks. So I was being constantly thrown to the rocks by the waves, the violent waves. And then I heard my mom scream. She was outside. She was with me. I was with my mom. And that's, James, when I panicked because I thought I'm not going to die alone. My mom's going to jump and she's going to die. And I believe that it was my mom's scream that saved me because I kind of had an energy to pull my arms in the rocks and started running in direction of the beach. I was all bloody and wounded, but I was very lucky because I survived and I can't swim. So it was pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. What a story. So I guess it was the scream of your mum that kind of woke you up into, I've got to do something about it now. Exactly.
And sometimes I think about it like, I don't think I'm a suicidal or anything, but I was accepting death. I was accepting if it was only me. But when I thought that my mom would die to save me, that's when I had the strength to fight, which is strange because I don't think I'm a suicidal person. But I was calm, like, okay, I'm going to die. That's it.
So that must have been a traumatic experience, as you said. So besides like being bashed around by the rocks, I mean, did you break anything or?
No, I was pretty damaged, but I did not want to go to the hospital. So I still managed to drive back home, all bloody and all bruised because my mom, she doesn't drive. But I did not want to go to the hospital. There was still all this pandemic thing. So I preferred to lick my wounds at home. So I just bought some creams, and I was maybe more than a month with bruises and wounds, but eventually I recovered. Yeah, not mentally, not yet, but physically, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a good thing. So nothing broken.
No, I was lucky. I think that I have good bones because I was fine, bones related. Yeah, I was bad skin and the looks because I was completely messed up. But yeah, the psychological part was the worst part, I think.
Okay, so you mentioned you haven't healed from that yet. So are you having any sort of treatment or anything for that?
I'm having some appointments with a psychologist.
Okay, and how's that going?
I think that I'm going to have a release soon, maybe August or September, because I could manage to think about the positive things and not the negative. So I was having lots of nightmares and flashbacks of the moment, and now I'm trying to control. Of course, I still have them, but I'm trying to reconnect with the fact that the sea was my friend, because it did not really kill me. It took me and it sucked me up, basically, but it brought me back to life. Like, here's your second chance, so take it, because it was like I was born in that moment a second time.
Yeah.
So I think now more about deep things and life after that event. I am a bit more introspective, I think. I was already, but I think that now in a more philosophical way, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely a wake-up call in many respects.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, to get you to kind of reflect on your life and what you're doing with yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time we can be caught in a trap or in a state of limbo in the way we carry on doing, regardless, the same thing. Kind of like Einstein said, repeatedly doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, although we want the different result, we're not doing anything to change what we're currently doing. And it's normally a traumatic or some experience, an event that's happened that gets you to think and act differently, and then you break that mold.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
But I mean, at least you're looking at things on the positive note, because you can dwell on the doom and gloom and feel sorry for yourself, or you could, like, as you said, look at it in the positive way. Well, it has helped you realize that there's more value to life and quality and the importance of living and doing something more positive about it. So in that respect, what do you do? I mean, maybe just to recap on your education, what did you kind of complete or want to do when you left school or left education?
Yeah. Well, basically, I started work. I entered university. I've always loved the languages and history, geography, like humanistics. So I entered in Faculdade de Letras when I was 18, and I did some study, but I started working when I was 18. So I was studying and working at the same time. The work for me was a priority. When I started receiving my money, I thought, just school, no way. So I took a lot of time studying and taking courses and doing a parallel, always working and studying. And at the same time, as a part-time, I started teaching some English, some Portuguese, but just as a part-time, because I started working in a corporate. as well to the UK market. And that's where I got most of my work experience, full-time job in the corporate world, and with meetings, trainings, travels to the UK or to Belgium. So I was a businesswoman, but with bosses, which was not really my cup of tea, actually. But I wanted to receive money, and I did not really know what to do with my life if I was not going to leave the job like that. So more recently, that's when I had the opportunity and the ideas of starting something different, like to take the chance and try to do something for myself as my own boss. I also did some other things not related with English. So it was kind of a parallel. I am a bit like you. I like to try different things. So during the pandemic, I also took some certifications on gel nails. And I did a small corner in my house to receive customers. And it was going very well. I was enjoying a lot. So I was teaching English parallel with this manual thing, which has nothing to do with English. I completely left corporate, and English started going very well. Meaning I started receiving connections from companies to teach English, from future pilots, lawyers, engineers that wanted to learn English with me because they liked my approach. My students were very happy with my approach of teaching English in a practical way instead of just grammar, like most of the schools and teachers do. And they were learning with me a lot. So that's when I started. And at the moment, I have this full-time job as a teacher, and I am my own boss. So I have my finances, everything clear, everything legal, because I'm working full-time as a teacher for companies and for private people.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you kind of got into that by accident, or maybe it was serendipity, meant to be.
It was not accident, but I wasn't sure if it was going to work well.
Yeah.
So even though I was already experienced in teaching and I was very fluent in the language, I had some courses, took some courses, and I also more recently took a 𝗘𝗔𝗖𝗛𝗏 certification. But I wasn't sure, or I could not tell if I was going to have enough work to pay my bills. So that's why the parallel thing of the nails, to see if this goes well, I'll go for the nails. If the English, and that's when I decided to go for the English, because the English was going so well, English and Portuguese. So I teach Portuguese to English speakers and English to Portuguese speakers. So.
Okay. So it's typically either or.
Exactly, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Portuguese learning English and English learning Portuguese.
Exactly. So there we need to have a base language. So basically I'm fluent in both. So I can teach a Portuguese person, I can teach English. And for a speaker of English, I can teach Portuguese as long as they speak English, because we need the base. Yeah.
But you normally do this for corporations.
I do. At the moment, I'm working with companies as well. So basically they hire me to teach their people, like engineers that need to learn English, or lawyers. Okay, so I can teach. Who pays me? The company pays me to teach 3 or 4 people there.
Okay, so I guess it would be typically, I'm guessing now, typically Portuguese people that have gone to work in the UK or work for UK-based companies, and they want to brush up or learn English.
Exactly. And since I'm already experienced in technical English, we do simulations, we do technical English texts, and we do lots of things together, and they can boost up their corporate English, their HR English, legal English for lawyers, more technical for engineers. Yeah.
Okay, so you end up learning. I mean, you came from a bit of a technical background, I guess, as well, with some of the companies you work for. So
exactly, yeah.
It helps when you understand technical jargon that you also understand what they're talking about. So
yeah,
it makes it easier.
Yeah, I worked in call centers that I was speaking in English 8 hours per day. And the trainings were very intensive, and it was very technical. For example, I worked for Bausch & Lomb, which was it's based in UK. So the bosses were coming to Lisbon to have meetings with us and to teach us. And so that's why I think that even though I was not fully happy on those environment corporate, because there was no freedom, the freedom that I have now, the freedom to, when you work 9 to 6, it's completely different. And if you want to change something in the procedures, you can't do that. So your freedom is very limited. And I wanted this freedom of doing things and helping people, but in a more way that I decide, not other people deciding how the work should be done. So now at the moment I am free to choose the way I learn, to choose everything, since the budget, the payment, until how many hours per week the students should have classes or not. So it's all my decision. Yeah.
Yeah. And how long have you been doing this now?
It was, well, as a part-time teaching some kids, I did since I was 20 or 19. But it was still the time where, when we were working not online. So imagine I would have someone that knew that I was good in English, and they would ask me, "Oh, can you teach my son?" And I would say, "Yes, after my work." So I would manage to come home, and then I was still living with my parents, the kid would come to my parents' house, and I would teach, and at the end of the month, the father or the mother would pay me whatever money it was. So I was doing that quite often. And now more online, that's where I got my business more established, is since the pandemic. Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, typically, I mean, how do you find your clients? I mean,
well, it all started with one client. So what I did was I saved some money to be able to pay my bills without being stressed if I had a job or not, to be able to invest in my formation, to take the Cambridge certification, to study more, to have proper books for helping people, being comfortable in financial scenario that I have to find a job to pay my bills. No, I was comfortable. I have this money, so now I can try to work on the marketing thing, on the everything. So it all started with one student, with one, then the second, then another one, then the one tells the other, and with referrals. At the moment, it's just referrals. I don't need to advertise my work at the moment.
Okay, and typically, how do you deliver your programs?
I do very personalized teaching. It's if a student is basic, I'm not going to send him B2 or C2 programs. It's pointless.
Yeah. But it's typically done online.
Yes, it's typically done online at the moment. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you work for UK-based companies, and working with their engineers can be all done online.
Yes, exactly. I have students in Switzerland at the moment, but mainly they are in Portugal, from north to the south. But I also have some students in Switzerland and in UK as well.
Okay, and yeah, so they could be independent students, or they could work for a company.
Exactly, and they can manage the schedule. It's for example, imagine if I have a student at 6 p.m. and they cancel. Okay, they cancel with time. They don't even pay the class. So it's very good because generally the courses are very expensive and people need to pay in advance €1,000, things like that. So of course that with me, they need to pay. I'm not working for free, but it's completely different values.
Okay, excellent. And yeah, if you were doing it for a company, could it be many people like on an online program at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, generally I prefer that maximum 3 or 4 because of my approach, of my methodology of teaching, that it's required that the student speaks 80% or 90% of the class hour. If the student is just listening, the others speaking, it's a bit pointless.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you do kind of an assessment first to see what level they're at.
Yeah, in the first class, I generally do it. In the first class, I check the level, if what it would be the approach, because for basic students, we still need to speak in Portuguese most of the time, but then changing more and more to English.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you were to assess me on my Portuguese, then I'd be in the basic class.
I don't know. You want to try?
Yeah. Bom dia.
Bom dia. Como estás?
Yeah. Tudo bem?
Tudo bem? Sim, e tu?
Yeah, mine is terrible. Não falo português.
Não falas? Um pouco.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah, I know. The thing is, I've lived in several different countries and learned a bit from each. I wouldn't say I was ever fluent in any.
Okay.
And the thing is, when you move to another country and you start speaking, then you remember kind of one of the ones that you learned before. Because when I lived in the Netherlands, you'd say alsjeblieft, like please. And now in Portugal, I'm asking for something, and then I'm saying alsjeblieft.
No, you learn what? The basics? The basics to be able to go shopping, to go to restaurants, things like that.
Well, I know how to say desculpa fala English.
Okay, yes. Because then you go back to English, you go back to the comfort zone.
And then when someone says no, then I think, oh, here we go. I have to try.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because, I mean, all my kids speak English and Portuguese fluently.
Nice.
Plus Swiss German.
Which is very difficult.
And French. So, I mean, pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah. Amazing. Yeah, I've learned a bit of German. I'm a A2 in German, but German, it's very difficult, in my opinion.
Well, the thing is, in Switzerland, you learn High German, so kind of the traditional German.
It's a different German,
Then in the street, you learn the street German, so the Swiss German. So, and then they have different dialects. So depending if you live in Bern, Zurich, Basel, Lucerne, I mean, it's all a different version of Swiss German.
Exactly.
So they know where you're from as soon as you open your mouth. Right? So we lived in Bern, and it was Bern Dutch. I mean, it was very difficult. Well, for me, I mean, for the kids, it was their mother tongue. So
they speak more Portuguese from Portugal or Portuguese from Brazil? Yeah,
so Portuguese from Brazil.
Yeah, because of moms. Yeah.
Yeah, and then English. My English, I wouldn't say from Scotland, because
you have other influences.
I got more of a neutral accent, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. That's why I did not know where you were from originally.
Yeah, because I lived in Edinburgh.
But so now I can sense the Scottish accent after you said it. Yeah.
But then I lived in Newcastle also for many years as a kid, and then Brighton, London. So it kind of changed. And then when I lived in the Netherlands, I used to speak a lot quicker and also with a lot of slang and words that they'd never heard of. So I had to slow it down, drop all the fancy words, all the slang, and I went back to basic English. And I kind of kept that now to make it easy for people to understand.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, but you have an amazing accent, I think.
Yeah, thanks. I like what you said earlier. You said, like, I remember you quoting, like, it was not your cup of tea.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a typical British expression. And it's so funny.
Yeah, I'm more familiar with British English because of the courses that I take, also because of the books that I buy. They are more, of course, I understand American English and Canadian English, Australian English, but I am more familiar with the British English, and that's what I love. Even in university, we learn Hamlet, we learn Shakespeare, all these British poets, contemporary from the 20th century as well.
I mentioned earlier offline that I'm taking some of the previous guests, we're creating our first book of our joint stories. And with the publisher, I mean, if you've never written a book before, they get you to look at the composition of a book and how. So we just went off and wrote our drafts, like 5,000 to 6,000 words, and then you have to edit it, and then editing. And I'm on my 17th edition revision of editing, and I've gone kind of full circle. I started writing like from the heart and just put it out there. Then I had to tidy it up. Then I had to change the grammar, repeating yourself so many times, and how you can make a sentence read better. Then I went kind of overboard. I went into like Shakespearean English, and then it was too pompous and terrible, right? Because that wasn't me. And then I've kind of gone back to the basic me again. So, but it's a great learning exercise when you're writing a book, because you learn how to write. Not that you couldn't write before, but you start to understand why and how a sentence or paragraph or whatever actually comes into being, and that you're not keep repeating yourself, and you could use different words to describe something. You can rearrange the sentence in a different way. So writing a book has definitely helped improve my English, even though I'm native English.
Indeed. Yeah, I can imagine, because one thing is, even in Portuguese, not only in English, it's common to all the languages. One thing is that you speak very well and you are understood, but the speaking English, you are not really worried about some, let's call it, errors, because as long as people understand you, it's fine, right? And writing a book, you cannot do it like that. You have to write correctly in English in all the ways.
Yeah. Although I like humor, and I like to add some humor to things. And
that's a British thing, I think.
I mean, maybe I'm a bit biased, but I think British humor is excellent. And
I love British humor.
Yeah, particularly some of the people I grew up with. I mean, watching TV like the two Ronnies or who is it? I mean, many. I mean, more recently, kind of Little Britain and stuff like that. I mean, these things are Only Fools and Horses, and these kind of shows that bring out some of the best of the English humor, and it's great.
Yeah, in Portugal we also have nice humor, but I believe that we cannot compare British humor with other humors. It's very particular and very and you need to understand the language to fully understand the language, and not only the language, the culture, to fully understand. So it's completely amazing. The better you are in English, in my opinion, the better you understand the humor. So even if you are studying regular English, when you are confronted with the humor, you will understand it more. It's amazing. I totally love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to mention Monty Python as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
Blackadder, the Mr. Bean. Of course, Mr. Bean is more silent, but yeah.
Yeah, actually, Mr. Bean is. I mean, people say it's an expression like Marmite. You either love it or you hate it. And Mr. Bean was one that was just, for me, that's an annoying humor. Although people loved it, but for me, I never liked it. It was just annoying.
I love Mr. Bean. Yeah, and Rowan Atkinson as an actor. Yeah,
as an actor, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's fantastic, and and also he has a very humor like the Brits have. I don't know if you watched the interview that he gave maybe 8 or 9 years ago, that they were asking him, so is Mr. Bean going to stop? And he was explaining that he was recognized in a mechanical shop that he was doing there, and there was this guy, you really look like Mr. Bean, it's amazing, and actually I am Mr. Bean.
Yeah. Actually, you mentioned him in Portugal. Just recently been the anniversary of celebrating April the 25th, 1974. The revolution, and it was also about the song that was going to be played to kind of announce the revolution, and it was from the 1974 the Eurovision Song Contest when ABBA won with Waterloo.
Okay.
Actually, in the Brighton Dome in the UK, and the entry from Portugal. So I was curious to have a look and say, well, what was the entry? I mean, what did this guy sound like? Oh, who was it? So it was some guy, and the first thing I thought when I saw it was Mr. Bean.
Indeed, yeah.
Because if you look at the old video of it, he just looks like, to me, so no offense, I mean, but the guy just looked like Mr. Bean.
Okay.
But anyway, we digress. So we need to kind of wrap this up in a minute. So just tell me, how do people reach out if someone wanted to get hold of you? And particularly, like, as you said, like wants to do some training with you, either English, Portuguese or Portuguese, English, how can they get hold of you?
Well, generally, as I told you, at the moment, I work a lot with the referrals. So basically, my students ask me if I have space to receive a friend or a girlfriend or whatever, and I say yes or no, and they are allowed to give my my cell number. And I also have, I don't have a website, not yet. It's something that I'm thinking about, but I don't have it. It's something that I need to do in the future, but at the moment I don't need, probably that's why I didn't do it yet. I also have an Instagram professional account, and some WhatsApp channel, and a private WhatsApp group for students only.
I guess
LinkedIn, yeah.
Yeah, because that's how we found each other.
Yeah, and LinkedIn. Also the LinkedIn, yeah, which is, it's very rarely used for people to connect with me to ask classes. But yes, my profile is open and visible. Okay. Yeah.
So I'll share the links anyway. Once you wish to share at the end of the recording as well. So I just noticed behind you, although you're hiding it very well, there's a guitar.
Yeah, it's an acoustic guitar.
So I guess that's yours and you play?
I don't play guitar. I play organ, but the guitar was kind of a friend of mine that left it with me because she was moving very fast. And she could not take it.
You've never tried playing?
I tried, yeah, a bit. I only know like a Metallica song. So I've learned the Metallica song a bit, but it's very painful to play guitar in my fingers.
Yeah, you don't want to play now?
No, I don't have anything prepared. Now it would be like completely horrible.
Okay, no worries. Okay then. So Carla, you have been an absolutely wonderful guest.
Thank you, and you've been a wonderful host.
Yeah, I love the diversity of different stories, and you definitely had a great story to share, and particularly with the near drowning experience. I mean, that's definitely a huge turning point.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish you well on that recovery.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes.
And no doubt, I mean, we'll keep in touch anyway because we're connected on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if you ever want to write your story in a collection of stories from other podcasters or guests that I've had, then yeah, do let me know because we're about to launch our first book.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll be looking for guests for the second book.
Okay.
Okay, so Carla, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow, that was another featured business brought to you by Visibility Impact. If you'd like to be our next featured guest or learn how James Moffat can help you leverage on the art and power of interactive storytelling for your business, reach out and schedule a call now.